Attention all operators on countdown 1. This is the final go, no go for flight 2 of Starship. Again, our T0 is at 7 a.m. Central. Raptor 1.
Go.
Raptor 2.
Go.
Stage 1.
Go.
Stage 2.
Go.
Copy, go for flight. Clock is rolling. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Stretcher cut off. Stage separation.
はい、こんにちは、ぴいぴいさんです。今回は、SpaceX の Starship の第3回試験飛行を解説していきたいと思うんですが、ちょっと待ってね、音量がうるさすぎるんでね、ちょっとなんせ。さっきね、こんなに配信遅れたのはね、理由があってね、さっきの動画があるじゃん、先頭の。あれがね、ダウンロードできてなかったらしくて、やばっと思って、大急ぎでやった。ということで、いつもの画面に移っていこう。あ、ミスった。なんか何かに引っかかってる。はい、OK。これダメだな、多分。引っかかるから、ちょっと。危険だから何か変更しておこう。スターシップは第1回では、打ち上がった後分離ができずに爆散。で、第2回では、分離をね、第2弾を点火と同時に分離して、半ば強制的に離脱させる、分離する方式で、分離に成功。でもその後シグナルを失って、機体が異常を検知して、で、機体が異常を検知して、指令破壊。で、今回は、いろいろありましてですね。 まあ、今回はいろいろありまして、そうですね、今回は確か、まず前回ね、第1回の時にね、発射台が破壊されたのね。強力すぎて破壊されたから、だから今回また、第2回の時に、いろいろね、設備を追加したの。まず、水をぶちまける方式とか、まあいろいろ追加して、で、今回、まあ第2回ではあんまり影響なかったらしいのね。だからまあ第3回ってことで。で、今回の場合は、まあ、前回はね、ハワイ沖で、スターシップが着弾って感じだったんだけど、ちょっと違って今回は、インド洋だね。インド洋で着弾っていう。でもアフリカの上空を通過して、インド洋こんにちは、みたいな感じになる。で、スーパーヘビーブースター、この1段目の真っ白の部分は、打ち上がった後、また反転、分離、またおそらく成功するから反転してまた着陸っていう。打ち上げまで残り30秒。あ、打ち上げするらしいです。15、14、13、12、11。ちなみに放水システム見てて。8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1、点火！リフトオフ！打ち上がった。さあ、3回目だね、これは。3回目の打ち上げ。これドローンのやつかな？映像は。さあ、ロケットはそのまま上昇中と。すごいね、この、打ち上げてる時にもすでにこんなに燃料を作るっていう。ゴゴゴゴゴゴゴって言って。さあ、これは第1弾のところについてる機体のカメラ。で、現在40秒経過。エンジンは全弾31個すべてが正常に燃焼中。33個だっけ ?31 個だよ。33個かもしんない。ごめん。で、高度は、7キロ。まあ、エベレストを超えたぐらいだね。さあ、このまま、上に打ち上がっていくと。で、今回はね、宇宙空間で2、3回点火をするらしいね。あと、カーゴドア。このスターシップ自体にでっかいドアが搭載されてる。そのドアを開ける試験をする。なんかカメラこれちょっと汚いよね、これ。さあ、全弾液体燃料だからめっちゃ煙少ないよ。綺麗だね、これ。マックス9はそろそろ過ぎたぐらい。そろそろかな。スーパーヘビーのラプターエンジン全部点火してる。あ、金属感すごいよ。内部の燃料が灯油と液体酸素のね、その2つのせいで、超冷却されてるマイナス190度とかマイナス100度とかそれぐらいだから、ね、霜がつくんだよね。だからブースターめっちゃ銀色なんだけど、なんか霜のせいで真っ白に見えてる。さあ。
Alright, counting down now. We're going to be coming up right at around the 3-minute mark on that hot staging maneuver.
さあ、ホットステージングがそろそろ起動すると。まもなくホットステージング。あ、点火した。さあ、分離できるか。ブースターエンジンカット。スターシップのエンジン点火。分離成功。お、今回はまだ第1弾のエンジンは正常にプログラム通り点火してるぞ。ホットステージング完了。これブースターが見えるね、ちっちゃく。さあ、スターシップの6個のエンジンが点火したと。で、こちらはブースターの様子。ブースターはこのまま減速をする。 減速っていうかまあ、メキシコ湾に落下する軌道を取る。そろそろエンジンがなくなっちゃうんじゃないか。
Good there.
エンジンじゃない、燃料だ。
The second stage or the ship, everything looking good, nominal there. First stage is
さあ、どう
currently
だ。
performing the boost back burn, expecting that to last about 1 minute. That boost back burn, that boost back burn propels the booster back towards the coast, taking it
ブ
to
ー
a
スターの
landing
エ
in the waters
ン
of the
ジン
Gulf
が
of
全部
Mexico.
カットオフと。
We're only using the
お、
super heavy
今回
boosters
は
13 center
正常。
engines from here on out. As whenever they relight, you'll be able
お、
to
正
see
常なの
that
か
in
な。
the left bottom corner. Those are the ones that can gimbal. In other words, they move and change direction in order
お、なんか
to
吹っ飛ん
change
でて
the
る。大丈夫
thrust
これ。
to steer the first stage back to Earth.
RCS かなこれ。さあ、こ
Wow,
ちら
these are
はス
just
ターシップの方
incredible
の
views
映
coming
像。
to us.
左側がね。あ、そう、右側。右側は
Everything
スター
is
シップの映
looking
像。
good for both the first stage on the left-hand side of your screen or the super heavy booster.
ちなみに
And
第
as well
1
as
弾
on
の
the
方、分
right-hand
離して
side of
る
your screen,
左側の
that
方
is
の
Starship, or we also
第
refer
1
to
弾
that
は
as the ship.
のね、メキシコ湾に、そのソフトランディングっていう、
The
まあ、
boost back burn
海の
was
上
the
にまあ、
first
チャ
of
ポン
two
って落とす
burns
感じ。
required to
ドシャー
return
ンじゃ
to
ない、チャ
Earth.
ポンって落とす。
The next one will be the landing burn, where all 13 center engines will initially ignite and then transition into a 3-engine burn to help slow it down. Now, just as a reminder of the stage 1 test objectives, we're looking for controlled ascent, which we have so
ブ
far.
ーストバックが今終了
Stage
したのかな。
separation, which
弾道軌道なんだけど、
gorgeous,
そ
we
こからま
cruised
た
right
戻ってく
through
るっ
it,
ていう。
as well
Vehicles
as
on a nominal trajectory.
good news there telling us that the path that Starship is
お、
on
シグナルな
is
いぞ。
good. Now, Starship's second stage is
Starship
still firing its engines, and as you
こちら
heard,
スター
following
スーパー
planned
ヘ
flight
ビーの
path,
第
the
1
ship
弾のブー
objectives
ス
we're
ター
looking
の
for
映
hot
像。
staging again, cruised
お、
right through
シグナ
that.
ル戻っ
We're
た。
looking to demonstrate controlled ascent
喧嘩
as
してる
well as
ね。
orbital insertion. Now, the bottom right-hand
お、
corner
今
of
回
the
は
screen shows the
ちゃん
ship
と動いてる。
engine graphics, so be sure to keep an eye on those.
Yep, Kate, like this is just a phenomenal test so far. Super Heavy is performing beautifully today. It's on its return leg of the journey.
ちなみに6分46秒、今から46秒後に、あ、嘘、36秒後に、ブースターが、まあ、音速を超える。予測通りだとね。で、6分46秒で、ブースターは着地燃焼を開始する。あれ、なんか点火してない？あ、ブースト、ランディングバーンがなんとかって言ってる。
guiding us through the atmosphere back towards our splashdown site. Again, we're going for a splashdown, a soft splashdown.
さあ、ゆっくり落下してるね。まあ、ゆっくりじゃないけど、すごい速度だけど。これ減速中だね。違うな。さあ、戻ってきてます。スプラッシュダウンまでもう少し。さあ、ブースターは頑張って制御をしている。おっと、回転する。さあ、エンジン点火。エンジン点火。2個しか点火しない。1個しか点火しない。指令破壊かな、ここで。はい、指令破壊入りました。おそらく今指令破壊が入った。ブースターはね、そうだね、指令破壊入ったね、今。多分直前で、制御ができなくなった。これはね、後からまた解説しよう。おそらく液体燃料が、着地の時の大幅な減速による加速度に耐えられずに、配管があるのね、これ。当然エンジンめっちゃたくさんあるから。その配管に思いっきり詰まってったみたいな感じ。だから、エンジンに予想外の圧力がかかって、なんだっけ、なんとかってやつこれ。ハンマーストーンみたいな、そんな現象の名前。ハンマーパイプだっけ？その現象だね、おそらく。さあ、スターシップは、まあ、ブースターを置いて現在飛行中と。このまま、あとは、何分後だね。
we
8分35秒。
demonstrated
残り
controlled entry
25
of
秒で
the
点
booster.
火する。
Just
Yeah.
stopped a little short of the engine relay, but hey, that's
あれ
something we can learn for the next one.
Yeah. Now that view that we just
通信が
had
消えてる
moments
ぞ。
ago was a live shot of Star
確か
Command.
これ、スタ
There
ー
you
リ
see
ン
it
クを使
again.
ってる
This
んだよ
is
ね。
our mission control center at Starbase, where vehicle operators are standing by. Now the next milestone
さあ、残
coming
り
up
5
is in
4
less than a
3
minute. At
2
that point, ship will.
1
Or I'm sorry,
0
actually, it already has.
エンジン停止。正常に停止したね。
As you heard there by the
さあ、これで今、スターシップはインド洋に向かう軌道になってる。まあ、簡単に言うと、まあ、アメリカのボカチカから発射された弾道ミサイルみたいな感じ。
engines have successfully shut down.
なんかさ、パラパラめくってるのなんだろうね、さっきのやつ。この、パラパラ出てくるやつ。耐熱タイルかな、これもしかして。
I'm just completely blown away right now. What a day. Congratulations to the entire SpaceX team. I mean, this flight pretty much just started, but we're farther than we've ever been before. We've got a Starship not just in space, but on its coast phase into space. Just to recap where we've come, and it's only been
ちなみに
9.5
この後
minutes.
予
How has
定
it
さ
only
れ
been
てるの
9.5
はね、
minutes?
11
We lifted
分
off right on
56
time
秒。
at
で、
8:25
ペイロード
a.m.
の
We
ドア
didn't
が
have
オー
to
プン。
hold at our gate at all. We had 33 out of 33 Raptor engines open up.
ちょっとね、ブースター着陸できると思ったんだけどね、やっぱ本当に一段一段だね、ここの企業は。
All 6 engines on the ship
必
propelling
ず
us
失敗に
into
直面する
orbit.
ね、なん
We
か。
did see a
いいね、けなげ
what
で。
looked like a nominal boost back burn. And then we did make it all the way to the landing burn this time. Didn't light all the engines that we expected, and we did lose the booster. We'll have to go through the data to figure out exactly what happened, obviously. So be on the lookout for information about that. But wow, a ship in space. We've got a bunch of, as we said, ambitious objectives
で、
ahead of
こ
us
れは、
over
こ
the
の
next
後
couple of
まあ、
minutes
11
and
分
pretty much over the next
56秒。
hour, where we're
まあ、
going to
今か
really
ら約
we've
1
got the ship
分
in
20
space.
秒
We're
後
now going
に
to
ペイ
take
ロードの
advantage
ドア
of
がオー
this
プ
and
ン。
try and learn as much as
ペイロードドア
possible
っていう
about
のは
some
ス
of
ター
the
シッ
other
プの上の
systems,
方についてるね。まあ、でっ
including
かい
that first ever
まあ、なんていう
Raptor
フェアリン
we
グ
flight
み
in
たいなもんなん
space.
だけど、
It's
それ
just
がね、フェア
incredible.
リングが
So
パカって開い
all
て、
of
ま
that
た
still
戻
to
るみたいな。
come. The mission just started, but wow.
で、ペイロードの底が
What a
開かれる。
liftoff.
その試
What a
験があ
what
る
a。hot
で、その
stage.
次
What
に
an、
その
amazing sight to see
24分
Starship
31秒。
there in outer space.
今から14分
I
後
can't believe
に
we're、seeing it in,
と
in space. This is
あの
awesome.
トランスファーデモ
Now,
って
we
い
are
うのが
going to
ね、
be
なんか、
coasting
打ち出され
for
る。
the next about 30 minutes or so. We'll be back around the T plus 40 minute mark. And that'll be Starship continuing to coast, hit those ambitious test
だね、
objectives, and then continue
推
on to
進剤
re-entry.
が、
We're not
ちょっと
totally
ね、
sure
移送
what
される
video
の
that
ね。
we'll get, since that
機体の
normally
中
comes
で、
to us as we
この
overfly
スターシ
ground
ップって
stations,
1
and
回じゃ
we
月と
don't
か
have
に
a
は行
ton
ける
of
燃
those
料が
along
ない
our
わけ。
trajectory.
だ
But
か
as we
ら、
have video, we'll be
ちょっと
sure
ね、
to
なんて
bring
いうんだ
that to you.
ろう。
Starlink may be able
何
to
個も
bring us additional
スターシッ
communication
プを打
paths
ち上げて
today
燃
that
料
will
補給
allow
して、
us
で、
to talk to
満タンにな
Starship
った
through
スターシップがまた
re-entry
どっか
with
に行く
no
みたいな
communications
感じの
blackout
構造な
period.
のね。
It's a possibility,
で、だ
but
から、
either way,
も
we
うその
will
推
be
進
live
剤を
for
宇宙
all
空
of
間で移
today's
送するっ
milestones.
ていうのが
And of
発生す
course,
るわ
when
け。
we do
で、
have
未だに
views,
確かまだどこもやってないんだけど、
especially like the ones
ステー
that
ショ
we
ンと
have
かじゃな
now,
く
which
て
I
ね、
just cannot
の
get
ペイロード
over.
のドアがその
When
後、
we
ま
have
あ、
views, we will be sure
推
to
進
bring
剤が移
those
され
to
た後
you
に
live.
4分
But
後に閉まる。
no views or
ペイロー
no
ドドアが
views,
閉
we'll
まっ
see
た
you
ら、まあ、
back
ラ
here
プタ
at T
ーが
plus
もう一回
40
点火す
minutes.
る。40分で。
And there we just
40
heard
分
call
46
that
秒で
has
ラプター
doors
が点
opening,
火。
so
で、
that's great.
49 分
First
5秒で、ス
One
ター
of
シ
our
ップ
test
再
objectives today is to open and
突
close
入。
that PEZ door. That's where we will
チェックからさ、こ
deploy
のパラパ
Starlink
ラ下
satellites
飛んでっ
from
てんの
in
な
the
んなん
future.
これ。
So great news there
大
that
丈夫
that
これ。
test excuse me.
あとさ、なん
That
か、
test objective
この
is
ガス、
already
ガスが
underway.
プルプル
So
出てんの
come
何
back
これ。
here, stick
この
around
やつ
till
は。
T plus 40 minutes for coverage of Starship's
大
deorbit
丈夫な
burn
の？
demonstration, followed by its re-entry and what is sure to be
不安に
an
なる。
exciting splashdown.
まあ、いつものだね。いつものスターシップあるある。あ、違う、ファルコン9あるあるだね。この待機画面に入るっていう。 そうで、この後に、再突入されるのが49分5秒。で、その13分後に音速を超える。で、その1分後に音速から戻る。で、そのまた1分半後に着陸。インド洋ね。カーゴドアの開く状態はいつだ？もう開いてるのかな？まだ打ち上がってるままだね。まだ地球に戻ってきてないね。残り10秒って言ってるなんか。ペイロードドアかな？ 8、7。あ！来るぞ。開くか。なんか黒いの消えた今。スターシップの内部だよこれ。なんか煙みたいに見えない？大丈夫？なんか今煙見えたぞ。大丈夫？ペイロードドアはまだ開かれてない。さあ、どうだ？多分今、あれかな、なんか煙があったから、何か危ないってあれされてるのかな、なんか認定されてそうだよね。ん？
Expected losses signal, Puerto Rico.
もう煙見えじゃない？気のせいこれ。なんかめっちゃ煙ない？大丈夫？まだ開かないね。これもしかしてもう開いてる？さあ、どうだ？うん！やった。ちょっとね、今までね、携帯でね、通知が入らなかったんで、やっと今通知が入ってるのを確認した。この曲知ってる？ これ何で聞いたんだっけ、この曲。多分ね、なんかフェアリングが戻ってくるみたいな映像をここのスペース X が出してて、それをね、ちょっと、多分それで見た気がする。お、さあ、なんかあんまり、あれだね。もしかしてがっつり開かない感じ？開くよね、がっつりこれ。ちょっと。なんか、何の変哲もないから、ちょっと、消しておこうとは。がっつりツイッター来てるね、通知。やったー。起きる時の音楽、これってやばいな。なんか俺そのまま寝ちゃいそう。あ、卒業式なの？おめでとう。何か、ネタを求めます。面白いネタ。これ約ね、これあと40分くらい続くよ。ブースター使い切りじゃない。今回はね、今回はね、メキシコ湾に着水っていう、さすがに発射台までは戻せんから。そんなね、技術まだ高くないから。被害が大きいからね、実際。ボカチカに戻そうとして失敗すると。また周囲また破壊されるから。確かにメジャーリーグにしか聞こえん。まあ、なんかみんな卒業式多いね。これぐらいなんだ。そう。まあ、このスターシップ回転してね。いや、KSP で再現とかもしてみたいけど、ちょっとなんせ時間がないからさ。 何か他にネタない？特に現時点何ら新しい情報はなしと。あ、燃料の移送が始まった今。スターシップの燃料移送が始まった。スターシップ自体の先端にちっちゃいタンクが2個ついてて、で、下の方にも2個ついてんだね。多分その移送が始まったんだと思う。詳しくはまた後から見る必要があるけど、多分そこの移送だと思うんだよね。でも実際スターシップが打ち上がるってことが発覚したでしょ今回はね。戻ってくるかはさておき。でもね、個人的にね、なんか戻ってくるにはね、燃料の量ちょっと少ない気がするね。もうちょっとあった方がいいと思うんだよね。なんかスターシップってロケットというよりはなんかイベントみたいな感じだよね。ちょっと申し訳ないけど。小学校の6年は長いけど、中高の6年は短い。あれなんか今、聞こえたのは、ちょっと待って、片言の英語で聞こえたのはね、燃料移送が完了したらしい。そういうことは何かあるんじゃない？あるというか、できたんじゃない？できたってことだね。永遠に自分今ね、音楽聴かせられてるんだよね。で、著作権とかの関係でまずいのかなと思って、あれだけどね、あと声消されそうだから、流さないけどさ、永遠になんかすごい、BGM も流されてて、ちょっと、やばいな。あ、カーゴドアの中じゃん。おっとなんかカーバルスペースプログラムだよね。なんかこの人たちがやってるのって。なんか、KSP やってるよね。打ち上げて失敗して、また打ち上げるよ、みたいな。KSP だな、これ。カーバルスペースプログラムしてる、多分。不思議だなっていう。 あ、ドア閉じるらしい。ってことはドア今開いてたのか、ずっと。マジか、なんかもっとがっつり開くんかと思った。なんかバカーンみたいな。バカーン開いてますよーみたいな。そんなわけじゃないらしい。悲しい。さあ、また閉じられていくスタイルと。ちょっとね、卵ボーロがあるんですよ、実は。は、食べちゃおう。なんか添加してない？これなんかさ、チリなんない？何これ？もうなんか吹き出てるよね、なんかずっと。なんか飛び散ってるんですけど大丈夫ですかこれ？燃えかすというか、多分あれなんじゃない？なんか表面のさ、なんか氷結した水蒸気みたいな、なんだでもデブリが出ても多分大丈夫なんで、弾道軌道だから。うん。おー、これ結構綺麗だな、これ。でもさ、KSP とかで見てるとわかるけどさ、やっぱ KSP の地球ってちっちゃいよな。これ待って、卵ボールじゃないこれ。何これ。なんか、牛乳の味する。 光っていく。怖いなーって。まあ言うてね、落下してるだけだから、なんかもう遊びだよね、完全に。なんかまだメリメリ飛んでってる。なんで緊張すんのあなたが。でも、あれで、実際あれだよ。今回でスターシップ成功した場合の方がやばいよ、多分。いろいろな影響がありそう。C 国最近ね、開発してるよ、そういうなんかでっかいやつ。お、なんか言った。なんか虫飛んでんだよな、周りに。虫じゃないけど。ゾロ目じゃん。26333。高度180キロに虫がいた。ソユーズロケットもにっこり。スペースクラフト。あ、なんか戻ってきたと。まあ、そろそろ大気圏再突入が始まる頃ですね。
And we just came out of a coast phase and we're treated to a number of HD views thanks to Starlink, including the PES door open close test. So that was one of our test objectives today that we met. So that's awesome. It has been such a great day.
It has been a phenomenal test day. Just to see booster lifting a Starship to ascent, ship completing its ascent. Just a wonderful day. Kind of to recap the objectives a little bit. Booster completed its ascent, ignited its 33 Raptor engines. We demonstrated a successful hot staging for the second time. Booster completed the boost back burn, didn't quite accomplish the landing burn, and then had a hard splashdown in the Gulf. Meanwhile, ship completely successful after the hot staging. We had a good 6-engine burn of the Raptor vacuum engines and sea level engines. And then we've commanded a number of
Starship自
demonstrations,
体
including
の
the
エンジン
Starlink
6個を
satellite
点火
deployed
させたことが
demo
成
for the
功した
payload
た
door,
め
as well as a prop
まあ
transfer
成功だって
demonstration.
言っ
We
て
do
る
still
ね。
need to do some data review on
他の
those,
人はどうか
so
知らんが。
as we get that data back, we'll be sure to update you on social for how those tests went. We are coming up on our next major milestones, which is an in-space relight of our Raptor engine for the first time, followed by re-entry and then landing in the Indian Ocean.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's right, guys. We should be just about 40 seconds away, 40 or 50 seconds away, if we do this relight demo. Do want to stress this is not a deorbit burn. In fact, it's actually going to function a little bit opposite of a deorbit burn. We're going to be raising our perigee with this burn for the lowest point of our orbit. This is just to demonstrate that we can relight a Raptor engine on ship while it's gone through a coast, while it's in outer space, while it's in microgravity, all of the different complexities that come with lighting this engine again after it's already done an ascent burn, but you're now coasting through space. This is going to be really important anytime we want to do in-space maneuvers in the future, like eventual deorbit burns, any of our translunar injections that'll have Raptor engines firing back up. We may not do it. There is all of the guidance is loaded into Starship's computer itself. So if it doesn't see the values that it needs to, we could just skip the burn. So we are waiting to find out if that's going to happen or not. If it doesn't, as we said in the beginning, we're on a pretty steep trajectory that we are coming home no matter what, regardless of doing a burn. This was done just so we can really, we're in a trajectory that's really not super susceptible to delta V changes in velocity. If we were to do a burn, we've got a pretty concise footprint in the Indian Ocean that we're going to be targeting for splashdown today. It does sound like we are skipping past the on-orbit relight demo this time. Again, we'll confirm all of this through our post-flight data review, but it did sound like we did pass through that burn. So now that's going to start setting us up for re-entry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So coming up next around T plus 49 minutes is Starship re-entry. Now, this is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communications with spacecraft because they're re-entering the Earth's atmosphere at or around orbital velocity, about 8 kilometers per second, or roughly 5 miles per second. Super fast. Now, at those speeds, the spacecraft's interaction with the atmosphere results in friction and creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so we're basically left with a brief communications blackout. Now, we might get some telemetry back through a connection to the tracking and data relay satellite system, also known as TDRS. But if the plasma doesn't entirely block it, that connection will be at a very slow data rate and definitely too slow for any video.
But that's why Starship and Starlink are a great partnership. Starship is so big that it will leave a wake or a hole in the plasma field as it flies through an atmosphere. You can think of a wake kind of like when you see a boat going through the ocean, it sort of leaves a trail behind it. There's some of those great views from Starlink giving us views of Starship's onboard videos.
すげえ、これやっぱスターリンクが届けてる映像だ。
Will let us, just like we're seeing these videos now, see through that plasma field by maintaining a continuous communication lock with the satellites on orbit through the wake that Starship leaves behind. Now, this is only the second time that we're testing Starlink during re-entry, so even though we do have these great visuals now, don't be surprised if we manage to get some signal hiccups through. We're still learning about what that wake will actually look like in practice and whether we're able to get that live continuous high-speed data during re-entry.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the really primary reasons we want to use Starlink is to just
これ姿勢制御できんのこれ。なんかさ、めっちゃぐるぐる回ってない？
The data is the payload on one of these flights, where we're putting this flight hardware in a real flight environment, trying to learn about it as much as possible. Re-entry is going to be a really critical phase of flight.
あ、なんか、
We
姿
really
勢制
want
御
to
でき
know
てるっ
how the
ぽい。
ship's going to perform, especially that
で
heat
きてないね。
shield
なんか噴
as
出
we're
してる
going
けど、
through
な
the
んか意味あ
hypersonic
るようには見え
re-entry.
ないな。
So if something were to go wrong during this re-entry, we want as many paths as possible to collect that
まあ、
information,
さすがに
that
できると
data,
思うけどね。
just to
まあ、
again
羽
just
があるおかげで
continually
できそう。
feed back into the
でも
Starship
高度
program to
高
make
いとこだ
each
と
flight
さ、
more
羽意
reliable,
味な
more
いじゃん。
successful.
Acquisition signal Mauritius.
これインド洋だね。インドの方ではまあ今夜の方
Now,
に向かい
Starship
つつある。
manages to make it all the way
ね、
through
午後3時
re-entry.
ぐらいじゃ
We'll
ない？
collect valuable data on Starship flying
今
through the
キ
Earth's
ープラス
atmosphere
44
at
分44秒
hypersonic
だった。
speeds, meaning more than 5,
お
or
っ
at this
と
point, will be more than 5 times the speed of sound.
姿勢制御始まってません
Now
か？
we're watching these live views.
始まってる始まってる始まってる。
Thanks to Starlink. You can see that
このカメラが、なんか飛んでってない？大丈夫か？めっちゃ飛んでってない？大丈夫？なんか。このさ、このめっちゃカメラがガタガタ動いていた。今みたいにさ、なんかガチャって動くじゃん、視点が。これ理由がね、この羽の下にあるんだよね。これ、ほら、自分の位置が変わってんじゃん。この羽があるの。羽の上の方のやつが下についてるの。
Getting data on aspects like heating and control while traveling way faster than we did before is going to be critical to eventually
さあ、もう少しで宇宙の旅も終わりです。あともうちょっとで終わり。約30秒で宇宙の旅は終わり。
And survive the heat of re-entry, which, like we said before, we're expecting that re-entry to occur around T plus 49 minutes. So we're getting pretty close here.
And what you're seeing here, it looks like the vehicle is sort of moving back and forth.
これさ、画面のさ、右側の方が耐熱シールドだからさ、そっちを下に向けないといけないんだけどさ、大丈夫なのかな？はい、まもなく宇宙の旅は終わりです。なんか赤くなってない？めっちゃかっこいいんだけど。めっちゃかっこいい、めっちゃかっこいい、めっちゃかっこいい。めっちゃかっこいい、これ。さあ、宇宙から再突入が始まりました。現在地球に戻ってます。ちなみにこの後おそらくスターシップとの通信は失われます。なんでかっていうと、あれがある。これやっぱ姿勢制御できてないよ。なんか、受けちゃいけない方向で受けてるよ。プラズマだから多分、できなそうじゃない？おっとっとおっとっとっていうお菓子あるよね。美味しいよね、あれ。これ大丈夫これ。あ、いけそういけそういけそう。やばいぞ。いけそういけそう。すごいね、なんか NASA の映像を見てるみたい。こうなんのね。KSP でいう戻ってる間、さ、スネアが発生していく。プラズマ状態だから、通信がブラックアウトするね。しないのもしかして。宇宙に電波飛ばしてるから、ブラックアウトしないのかもしかして。すごいね、頑張って姿勢制御してる。おっとさ、でもめっちゃ浅い角度で突入してるから全然速度まだ減速してない。
are working together to protect the belly of Starship as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Once again, the atmosphere is doing us a big favor here by... The atmosphere is actually doing us a huge favor here by acting as a braking system for Starship as it re-enters the atmosphere.
And that's part of the reason why the flaps are so important. We're using the body of Starship and the drag from the atmosphere to slow us down from orbital speed.
やっぱ通信が厳しくなってきてるね。再突入してるから。プラズマ状態だからやっぱブラックアウトしたね。プラズマに囲まれるとね、そういう現象が起きる。通信ができなくなる。
provided by a couple Starlink terminals that are positioned on Starship itself. As that plasma builds, we're hoping that we can bring these views back to you, but you can see the telemetry there on the right-hand side of your screen. If you watch closely, you can see the speed decelerating. Again, that's the friction of the atmosphere resulting in this plasma field, or excuse me, the blanket that is potentially blocking the Starlink terminals right now. So we'll bring those views back to you if we get them. But right now, for those of you that have recently joined, Starship is currently re-entering Earth's atmosphere. This is super exciting because it's the furthest and fastest that Starship has ever flown.
It's just absolutely incredible. Major test milestone, something we wanted to accomplish on Flight 2, getting to it today.
そうだね。電磁波が妨げちゃう通信の、なんか壁みたいな感じになる。お、これスターシップの耐熱タイルじゃん。
There are 18,000 hexagonal heat shields like these.
これが18,000個貼り付けられてるって。
This is what would be positioned on the flaps of Starship, whereas Shiva has something a little different.
Yeah, the one I have would be on the curved surfaces of Starship. I'll just put it in frame here. So we've got these attached at various points around the vehicle. Like you said, Kate, 18,000 of these tiles around, and they're doing the work to make sure that the structure of the vehicle doesn't carry all that thermal load.
スターシップなんか
So
通
we
信
can
途切れ
recover
じゃな
the
い気の
vehicles
せい。
eventually and get to rapid reuse on
Yeah.
them.
They're really lightweight. They sound a little different than I would have expected them to, but they are ceramic.
ここで風呂入るんかい。
And
いってら、バイバイ。
are what's helping Starship survive through this period of entry. We're not sure how far we're going to make it. Again, this is the furthest that we've gotten in our test flight, but the further we fly, the more data that we can get, and that's ultimately the measure of success here, which I mean, I think today has been a huge success given where we've gone and how much further we've gotten with both the booster and Starship itself.
And one of the beautiful things about Starlink on board the vehicle, we were getting that high-speed video. High-speed video is a very high data rate, and usually video comes after you get your telemetry. So hopefully we were able to get some wonderful data throughout the entry period, which is normally something we have to wait for until after splashdown when we get that data off the data recorders.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned before the flaps. Again, that the flaps are protected by the flat heat shields like I have. There are 4 of those positioned on Starship, 2 at the forward end or the top end, and 2 at the bottom or aft end. And they operate independently to aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude or positioning during atmospheric flight and enable precise landing at the intended location. So today we are intending to splash down in the Indian Ocean, and we're hoping that we can make it that far, but regardless, it is an exciting end to what has been an exciting day.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've had some tests in the past. We had suborbital campaigns where we have tested out the aerodynamic flaps at subsonic speeds. So that's below the speed of sound. At hypersonic speeds, well, supersonic speeds first, so faster than the speed of sound, and then hypersonic speeds. So that's more than 5 times the speed of sound. The equations of motion changed, how the vehicle responds changes. So going through that control phase where we're going from faster than the speed of sound to below the speed of sound was one of the objectives today.
Yeah. And that's actually a great point because we are expecting that entry subsonic period to occur around T plus 1 hour and 3.5 minutes. So we're not there yet. We're about 10 minutes away from that point. So again, that is when Starship would be traveling slower than the speed of sound.
ああ、まあどんどん速度が落ちてるから多分まだわからないのかな。
And so right now we're still waiting to see if we're going to get data back from this ship. We might be in a bit of a blackout period right now. So still waiting to hear the status on it. But yeah, we got to the actual entry portion of today. We started into peak heating, which was just a really big
1時間2分ぐらいまでは見ないといけないな。
Starship is pretty unique in the way that it re-enters, especially for something reusable. The closest parallel has been the space shuttle.
着陸がわかんないけど
Comparing Starship to like when we bring a Falcon 9 booster back, we're talking about 20 times the energy given the velocity that we're moving at, and all of that energy just gets converted into heat, and then we need to use those tiles to just help dissipate that heat. They're not ablative like you would see on something like Dragon, which uses an ablative in the capsule shape. So they are these tiles that are made to be reusable. So any data we're getting on the actual temperatures it was seeing during heating, all of that is just really hugely valuable. Where Starship is really unique is, and Kate and Shiva have talked about it a couple of times, is once we're through this kind of hypersonic section and we get down to the subsonic. And that's where we really learned a lot and proved that Starship's really just its basic shape could work. And we did that during the suborbital campaign. Again, if you compare it to the shuttle, which entered, it had the wings, it had a similar heat shield system, but it had wings, and then was almost flown like a glider once it re-entered and was down to those subsonic speeds. With Starship, we're not doing that. We're just coming straight down. We'll hit terminal velocity, which with Starship is around 200 miles an hour, and then we use a flip maneuver to ignite those engines, do a landing burn, and then touch down on the ground. So you don't need a runway. We're doing that, again, designed because when we go to the moon, when we go to Mars, there's not going to be a runway there for us, and so that propulsive landing is going to be really important. This is an animation of pretty much what we were just watching on actual Starship video, which is pretty incredible. But we go through peak heating. One of the benefits of today's trajectory, actually, we got closer to what the heating profile will be on just a normal mission when you compare it to our previous flights, which were headed out to Hawaii.
ヒュッと
So
落ちて
we
き
go
て、
through peak heating and then we hit
ぐるっと
subsonic
反
and
転
then
して、ボボボ
Starship
ボーンみ
splashes
たいな。
down in the ocean. Again, we're not doing a landing burn on this flight, and we're not expecting Starship to survive the impact. We're not going to be recovering any of the hardware. For now, though, we are just still waiting to see if we're going to get some signal back. We're currently at a loss of signal with Starship. Don't know for sure what its status is, and so we're just continuing to listen in. But it was pretty incredible seeing the flaps really do their thing to maneuver the vehicle as it's moving through hypersonic. One of the big trade-offs between something like shuttle and Starship is wings can be pretty heavy. And
ま
so
あ、ス
if
ペ
we
ー
can
スシャ
really
トルとかも、
demonstrate that Starship's
をなんか例と
controllable
して
through that
出して
hypersonic
るね。
regime when you're coming through the atmosphere, 25 times the speed of sound, you can save a whole lot of weight by not having really big wings. So super valuable to get this data, super valuable to
Dan,
then figure out what we're going to do on our next test flights.
Yeah, and you'd brought up a really interesting point too, that for on shuttle, you are gliding in, going back to a runway. On Starship, because we're landing vertically, we are basically coming down, and then we've seen this during the suborbital campaign. We're not going to see it today, but during the suborbital campaign, we did the flip maneuver and then light our engines for a landing burn. And that's also really important for some of our other terrestrial destinations, that we don't have as much of an atmosphere on Mars. There is pretty much no atmosphere. There's some
これあれだね、
great
試
views
験の
from
時の
our
映像だね。
previous test campaigns of a landing burn and upright landing. But on the moon, there is no atmosphere. On Mars, the atmosphere is extremely thin, so you actually need some other sophisticated techniques that other landers have used to land there. And so this vertical landing technique is really important to landing on
着陸
destinations
す
like
る技
those, which
術
is
はあると。
ultimately where we're trying
とい
to
うこ
go.
とは、
Absolutely.
着陸
So we hope to
し
demonstrate
てほしいよね。
that landing in future missions that wasn't one of
でも
our
ね、
objectives
海の上
for
だから 着陸は
today.
で
We
きないよ
wanted
ね、
the
残
ship
念な
to
がら。
focus on
海の上に
opening
ブッ
and
シャーンぐらいな
closing
らできるけど。
the first demonstration of opening and closing the PEZ door, which is where we will deploy Starlink satellites from in the future, as well as gathering data on how the heat shield tiles performed during the entry period. And so far, all of that has gone really well. So overall, it's been pretty great, and it's great to see how those initial tests that we performed a couple years ago for those high altitude tests allow us to see what those will look like in the future. But this piece that we're doing today of, okay, if we are coming back from orbital velocity and we're going through that entry period, that is the missing piece, right? We already figured out how to land once the ship gets to a certain velocity or altitude, and it's really this piece that we were trying to figure out today. How do we get Starship to survive orbital velocity, atmospheric entry? And we hope to find out soon.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about rapid iteration and how we do design. Part of our
再突入
philosophy
の
is testing
難しさ
early
と
and
かいろいろ
often
語っ
and
て
trying
る。
to test in a way that is as flight-like as possible. But there's only so much you can do in a chamber where you're trying to simulate the atmosphere in exactly in a laboratory. So there's nothing quite like when the heat shield tile hits the atmosphere in flight to gather that wonderful data and prove out some of the analyses and probably teach us a bunch of things that we didn't quite get right.
For sure. And obviously, for those of you that have been watching along with us, those were incredible views to see of that entry period where we saw the heat generating because of friction as the belly of Starship was making contact with the Earth's atmosphere, and that resulted in some plasma. So as Dan said before, we believe that we're in a bit of a blackout period at the moment. We are expecting the vehicle, if it's still alive, we would be expecting the vehicle to be approaching subsonic or slower than the speed of sound speeds in 3.5 minutes from now. So if it's still up there in one piece, it still has a way to go. We're not there just yet. But we saw that plasma field building up around the exterior, which can blanket the entire vehicle as it does with all of our Dragon missions, and we're at a loss for telemetry at that point in time.
Yeah. So Dan's seen a lot of those with Dragon missions that he's supported.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are hearing through some of the telemetry that we did. It did look like we lost Starlink and our Tidris data flow at the exact same time. Now, if both of those signals are cutting out at the exact same time, that could mean we lost the ship. It has been several minutes since we've gotten any data from Starship. We are waiting just a couple more minutes just to see if we can get any additional confirmation, but that is one data point that we're tracking, and that could indicate that we had a loss or a breakup of the ship during that re-entry. So might not make it all the way to splashdown today, but we were able to get through the early phases of re-entry, hit some of that peak heating, which was just really incredible to see a Starship coming back from space after getting all those views from space for the very first time. So we'll just keep on listening in on the loops here, see if we hear anything over the next couple of minutes. And that might bring a close to a pretty successful day so far. So again, we did lose the Tidris. That's the tracking and data relay satellite. That's the satellite system that pretty much every spacecraft operating in orbit right now will use to get data. We were able to get some signal through that. And then we were also getting data back through Starlink.
Live view here of mission control down at Starbase. So these are all the folks who are experts on the various different systems, taking a look at the live data that we did have. Probably in mission mode still, but it would be so tough to stay focused with what an exciting day we've had today.
Yeah, to quote Monty Python, I'm not dead yet. We don't know, as Dan said. We did lose connection with Tidris, which is the tracking and data relay satellite system, and Starlink at the same time. So it is a realistic possibility that we lost Starship, which honestly was always on the table. We didn't know how far it was going to get. The further we could fly and the more data we could collect was always the biggest win. And so regardless of, if we did lose the vehicle and we were not able to make it all the way to our intended splashdown. Note that we weren't intending to recover this vehicle, either vehicle, the Super Heavy booster nor the Starship. We weren't intending to recover either of them. They were both going to basically hit at terminal velocity and break up upon contact with the surface of the ocean. So we're standing by to hear whether or not we are going to be able to get telemetry readings back, but we are possibly anticipating news that we lost Starship due to basically a double blackout from Tidris and Starship data at the same time.
But this is it's worth mentioning.
フロリダの先っちょの方じゃないね。反対側の方。
Absolutely.
フロリダの先っちょはNASA の方だね。
So we are trying to prove out that the heat shield works as intended, that the controllability at those hypersonic supersonic speeds
あれ、そろ
as
そろ
intended.
追伸が復
So
活するはずだけ
if
ど
we
し
were
ない
able to
な。
get back any data on that, that means
と
the
いうこ
next
とは、
version, what happens on flight 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
is going to be better.
We must be able to get some because we saw incredibly gorgeous high definition views of that entry period whenever it was initially starting. So we must have gotten some data
Today
there.
has been otherwise a phenomenal day.
Incredible.
Liftoff on time, full ignition of all of the boosters, engines, successful hot staging, and then ship took it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We were able to see the ship actually make it further as well as the booster. We were hoping that the booster would perform a soft water landing, but we lost it during just before it was able to ignite the landing burn. But the ship
あ、そっちじゃない。メキシコ湾、メキシコ湾。
we saw all six
メキシコ湾のとこ
Raptor
で、メキシ
engines
コ湾
on
の
the
とこ。
ship ignite and then shut down for second engine cutoff. And we saw some amazing views as well. And it's just been certainly a day that I will be taking many screenshots and using them as my computer desktop background for, well, until the next Starship launch.
When we get even better views, I'm sure.
Exactly.
And we also hit a number of other ambitious test objectives. We had a chance to at least initiate the commands for a propellant transfer demo within the vehicle. This is something that Starship's going to have to do in the future, and these sort of transfers haven't been done at this scale before, so that's a first as well. We also were able to demonstrate that the payload door
And we got to see that, yeah.
Yeah, and so those commands were sent. Again, data review to come and make sure that everything performed as expected, but that's going to be critical to deploying payloads in the future once Starship becomes operational. So a number of test objectives hit, much more accomplished than Flight 2, and making steady progress towards a fully, rapidly reusable, reliable Starship.
Absolutely.
And hey, Kate, and hey, Shiva, we were just hearing on the loops, we are making the call now that we have lost Ship 28. So as we were possibly expecting, we lost the data a couple of minutes ago. We haven't heard from the ship up until this point, and so the team has made the call that ship has been lost. So no splashdown today, but again, just it's incredible to see how much further we got this time around. We had a couple of those ambitious objectives that you guys were just walking through that we're able to take advantage of while Starship was in outer space flying over our planet for the very first time. So that was just really incredible. Obviously, there's a lot to go through. Everyone always wants to know right off the bat what happened. Takes us a little bit of time, but I can assure you as soon as we start finding things out, we're going to let everybody know. And I know everybody's going to be excited for the next one. I mean, as I pointed out in the beginning, there's 4 super heavy boosters either fully stacked or getting stacked right behind me. We've got other ships ready to go as well. So it's going to be a really busy time down here at Starbase as we look to really fly Starship as much as possible, get this vehicle ready to go for all the important things it's got to go do.
And with that, we got to say a huge congratulations to our teammates and everyone who's supported the Starship program. There's been flames and reds along the way, but third time's the charm, and we made it to space. We also a big thanks to all of our future customers for your support, and we want to give a big thanks to the people of Cameron County, Texas, for their support, as well as the Coast Guard and the Federal Aviation Administration.
Be sure to follow the SpaceX account on X for more updates from today's test flight and future Starship tests. But before we go, we want to wish SpaceX a very happy birthday. The company was founded on this day in 2002 when it basically consisted of this small team, a carpet and a mariachi band. I don't know about you, but we're feeling 22. Also, it's Pi Day.
これ最初のやつじゃん。SpaceX の。
Yeah, but I mean, Pi Day is constant and never ending, so isn't.
今日はパイの日なんだよ、確か。そう、この、円周率の日じゃん。3.14 で。だから、それとダジャレみたいな感じで。Thank you for watching. はい。ということでどうでしたでしょうか。 SpaceX のスターシップ、おそらく、再突入の間に、通信が失われたというわけで、ブラックアウトもあるんだけど、それ以外の最低限の通信すらも失われてるから、だから、さっき自分が言ってたぐるぐる回ってたやつが多分何かしらの悪影響を及ぼしてるなと思う。だからスターシップが再突入には耐えられなかったと。多分姿勢のせいで、だから多分また次も打ち上げた時はどうせまた成功すると思うから、また次に行きたい。で、第4回の試験飛行では、その再突入もそうなんだけど、ブースターの着陸成功しそうだよね、次は。だから、それをね、また、こう期待。ということで、今回の配信終わっていきたいと思います。じゃあ、また次回の動画で会いましょう。バイバイ。チャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。